Hello, I'm Ian Willoughby and you're very welcome to episode 5 of Czech Next Wave, a podcast created by the Czech Centres Network and Radio Prague International. Our guest this time out is somebody whose work I admire a lot, the musician, composer and producer Sára Vondrášková. She's a really gifted singer and has been one of the most distinctive voices on the Czech music scene for the best part of a decade. Recording and performing as Never Saw, Sára has to date released 2 powerful albums of melancholic synthesizer-based music and recently returned with the single Leon. In addition, the singer, who's 31, works regularly with a range of artists in other fields, including fashion and dance. Join me now as I speak to Sára Vondrášková for this edition of Czech Next Wave. I heard somewhere that you lived in America as a child. Is that the case?
Yeah, it's true. I think I was like 7 or 8 years old, or 7 to 8 years old, because we lived there with my parents for 1 year. Because my dad, he's a scientist and he had a job there, or he was going like on and off, but back then he was there for a year, so we joined him with my mother back then. And I was attending school. It was in a really small town in Maryland. It was called Frederick. So there we lived for 1 year, yeah.
And tell us about your beginnings in music.
I think I was always listening to a lot of music because my parents were still listening in the car or at home to many CDs or cassettes or watching MTV. So there was like music always around. I really loved music, like to listen to it and to sing or to dance. So it became very natural then to start singing, or my parents then took me to lessons, like piano lessons. So I started to play piano and sing, and it was like a hobby for the first, but then I developed like a big passion for it, and I started to want to do it like all the time. So I guess like a conservatory or some music school would be the best for me. So that's where I then took off.
And at the music school, at the conservatory, you studied jazz, but I'm interested, what was your focus? Was it on vocals or piano?
It was vocals. It was always vocals.
And when, at what age, because you have an amazing voice, at what age did you really grasp what you were capable of doing vocally?
Well, that's a hard question, because I think there are like two different parameters. One is like the technique, and one is like a heart or something you really give into the performance or the interpretation or the voice. So I think like technically, I think I was way more better in school, and I could sing like, I don't know, songs of somebody else like better, but I was never actually like 100% good at it, but I think I was better back then. But I always missed like something that's mine. So I was really developing through the years, like finding my own voice, my own color, like not to put myself in something I should be or somehow I should sing. It was a good like school. I learned a lot, but I always felt like a bit uncomfortable. And I think now, few years back, maybe 3, I really feel comfortable in like how I'm singing. And I think like technically I cannot sing some particular things the exact way like Beyonce or I don't know, whoever, but I go to that tone in my own way, and thanks to that I'm able to sing like different things that like the technique doesn't limit me, because it's not there, and there's like I don't know how to describe, some other world or some other context for reaching out for the tones, I would say.
You initially became known by playing at a small rock club in Prague, Café Vltava, which I guess was about 10 years ago or so. What are your strongest memories of that time?
10 years ago. I must think it's a long time. But I remember always just writing songs and hanging out with my friends. I think it was that time back then on the Jazz Academy or the Jazz Conservatory. So I was kind of like writing songs because I was singing jazz standards all the time. and I wanted to begin writing my own music, so I was trying to develop that. But I think back in that particular time, I kind of wanted to like leave the music because I was like really fed up with jazz standards and singing, and I really had like this kind of like down wave of like thinking things in life over, if I should do music or not. So I wanted to really stop, and I went to philosophical faculty to study cultural anthropology, which I really loved. But thanks to this concert actually, or a couple of more, I got the idea that maybe I shouldn't stop and I should keep on going. So it was like really good that somebody like took me off the ground and said, hey, you should do it more. So, and then I really became like to have this project of mine that I have now.
Cool down, you're bringing trouble. Lean out from your ancient bubble.
Many people, I think, would have first heard you with the song Lay Down from the soundtrack to David Ondřejček's big movie In the Shadow. Was the song written for the movie? Because it sounds like a kind of film song, like it's quite epic. It sounds almost like a James Bond kind of a song.
Yeah, it actually wasn't like especially for the film, because I was writing these songs for a couple of years, and then I met Honza Muchov. But we kind of changed a bit things, and the whole arrangement changed a lot for the film to have it like more of a film atmosphere, and also the arrangement is like symphonic almost. There's a lot of violins and brass instruments and stuff like that. But the song existed in some way. I played it on piano and sang. So I think I developed lyrics, or like really made them properly, because sometimes when I was singing songs I was just like some English words but some murmuring, or there was a lot of nonsense. So I finished the lyrics, and yeah, that was really beautiful that it had the chance to be in that film, because I think that really kicked off everything also for me.
You mentioned Jan Muchov, who produced that song and the rest of your first album, As Never Soul, Never Quiet, which originally came out in 2013. Jan is, of course, the leader of Ecstasy of St. Teresa and a great composer and producer. What did you learn from working with him?
A lot of things. For me, it was the first time I saw somebody arranging or music producing, and I had the chance to actually be in the studio with him to see how he does things, how he thinks, how he approaches things, how he works with instruments and the song and the arrangement. So I was always trying to look how to say, behind his shoulder? No, from his shoulder?
Over his shoulder.
Over his shoulder. Over his shoulder, to see like what he's doing in the program, because I couldn't do it back then, but I really wanted to learn. So he became a very big inspiration for me, and I always dreamt like I could produce or make music like him, not just to write songs, just the harmony, melody, but to give the song the whole arrangement with all the instruments and all the sound that would fit to it. So he taught me a lot. I'm really thankful for that.
The publicity materials for your second album, Camilio, which came out in 2018, said that it was recorded in your, and I quote, audio botanical sanctuary in Strahov. That sounds intriguing. What is an audio botanical sanctuary?
Yeah, it was an attic on like a fourth floor of an old villa in Klamovka, which my friends were living in. And I was looking for a studio because I always had a home studio, and I really wanted to like separate these two things, like living and sleeping and eating and like working or creating music somewhere else. And my friends gave me the chance to have like this whole attic. But the attic was like kind of like visually very boring and very like dusty, not really inspiring. But it was a beautiful house, and so I thought I need to like get something else from the environment to like get inspiration and to feel really comfortable there to create music. So I started bringing there a lot of plants because that seemed to me like a good idea, like to make it have the good vibe, because I love plants, and there was a little cat living there also. And when I started with the plants, I just kept on going. And at one point I started to have like a really jungle like around me, and that was really beautiful because then the attic changed the atmosphere completely. There was, and in the summer there was the sun that started coming in with all the plants, so it was like the perfect setting for making the album there, and I was really happy to have the chance to be there.
You used analog synths for that album. I don't know so much about music. How do analog synths differ from, I don't know, using digital instruments? What does it bring?
Well, there's like this debate or conversation, like what is better, if analog or digital? And some people say like analog sounds better. I don't believe that, or I think digital is not nowadays, and the VSTs and the virtual instruments in computer can have such a great sound. It's not about that for me. For me, it's about the touch or the process of like playing and developing the sound, because when I look into the computer screen, I don't get so inspired as when I have like my synthesizer. I can play on it and I can not look. I can like close my eyes and I feel the knobs and everything. And for me, it's like much more deeper connection to the sound or instrument. And I also wanted to limit myself to certain amount of instruments, because in the computer you have so many, and you keep on finding and searching, and sometimes you spend the whole day like just clicking. And also I wanted to learn, and I learned through the years like how to sculpt like the sound that I really want, like by myself, like from the scratch, because with a analog, with a digital you can do it also. But I have this main instrument that is analog, so that's basically why I went this way.
On your Instagram as Neversol, it says East European synth melancholy. Is that tongue-in-cheek, or do you feel there is a kind of regional aspect to what you do?
Yeah, I was thinking like through many years, through the 10 years, like what am I? What is my music? People always ask, how would you describe your music? I don't know. Like, I don't feel like I'm doing electronic music. I don't feel I'm doing pop music. I'm not doing alternative. There's no words I would fit like into several words. It's like too concrete or too abstract. And because I love certain type of music or certain type of art, and I think like I love this certain type of atmosphere, which is melancholy. I really like this feeling, and I like to feel like that. I search for this kind of feeling in everything around me. So melancholy is one word that I found that fits me, or my, my world or whatever. And also I think about Eastern Europe, every time I was playing like more east than west, in Ukraine or Romania, or I don't know, I felt like the music connects there better. So I started to ask myself, like, if maybe this melancholy or whatever it is, and I think it is a certain type of atmosphere which all these post-Soviet countries have, or they don't even have to be post-Soviet, all of them, but there's this certain type of like melancholy or this grayness and rawness, which I really like. I don't know if my music has it, but I think I have it inside, so I think something has to articulate into the sound or the music. And I am Eastern European, so that's why I think it's one of the most truthful things I can say about me and synths. Yeah, so that's like the 4 words I came without that are the most true I could be to myself and my music, I think. So I finally found it.
When it comes to gigs, you performed solo and also with a band. Which suits you better?
I think I prefer playing with a band, for sure. It's more live. I can lose myself in it more. I can really like play and like enjoy. When I play alone, I have to think more like what to press, or I'm there alone, so all the risks are on me. I just have to like make all the decisions and everything. When we are there, we can share, we can have the chemistry.
One thing that strikes me a lot about your work is the visual side is so perfect, including your beautiful record covers. How much are the visuals your vision, or do you just choose talented designers and say, go for it?
I could never articulate my vision visually. I can do that only in music, but I know, or I had the luck to meet like really wonderful people who through the years I came to this idea that they really feel the things the same as I. And if I don't even say to them nothing, that they do something that's like from my heart. That these people are kind of connected to me or have the same aesthetic thoughts, philosophy, or we share a lot of things like on the daily basis. So I think that's why, for example, Michala Karaskova, which I work through 7 maybe last years or 8, always like if she photographs me or it's some collage that she does for the album or whatever, it always has this atmosphere that I think is really like 100% the visual of the music or something like that. And with the videos, I always try to also choose somebody that I love his work, and I always wish to have something like that because I feel there's could be some kind of connection.
Under the cornered sky, where the waves run high, Leon, you're running fast here, air fills your lungs with sweat, freedom,
In the video for your recent single, Leon, you wear an outfit and are surrounded by fabrics by the young designer Teresa Rosalia Kladoshova, who, by the way, was recently in our podcast, Czech Next Wave. How did that connection with Teresa come about?
Well, with Teresa we know each other for many years, and I have a dress from this fabric from her. And when we were thinking of the video, Yara came with this idea like there could be some scarves, like just pinned up on like when you're drying clothes, you know. And we thought, hey, Teresa has these fabrics, so why wouldn't we have the dress? We could maybe ask her, and she could make these fabrics for us, and it would be like way more cool, or would look really interesting. And Teresa was really, she liked this idea, so she made these fabrics from the same, or she made the prints of the fabric, and then we just put it there like with the dress. And I think this was a really great idea, and I love the pattern and the fabric and how Teresa makes it's so inspiring. It's one of the things I also like feel really when I wear her dresses. It's always like my skin or something, you know, like second skin. Yeah.
Sára, you've got a profile as a cool young artist, but I don't really have the impression that you're trying to make money out of your position by being an influencer on social media. Are people offering you stuff, or do you get offered money to advertise things on Instagram? Because I see some young artists in a similar position to you, and that's really clearly what they're doing.
Not so much. I had this like a few years ago, and actually a few years ago, or when I started, there was like, and Instagram wasn't even such a big thing as now, but this started to develop like kind of, and I always was like, no way, I'm never gonna like sell anything or whatever, blah blah. I still have this idea, but now if somebody came and he would send me a synthesizer and I should like test him out or whatever, I would do that for 100%. It would have to be something that I really do anyway. To answer your question, I don't do it with nothing now. Like I don't sell through my music, or I don't really think I'm that kind of person. Also, I think there's way more cooler musicians and with more followers and whatever. I think I'm still doing like this kind of stuff on the edge or whatever. I don't think it would help anybody. But yeah, if somebody asked me for something I really love myself, and just to say, hey, we're gonna send you a synth and try it out, and if you like it, do a video, I would do that for sure. And I would never even maybe want money, just the synth. But yeah, I don't know. It's very hard for me in general to think about like making money from music because it's a hard thing. And of course I have to make money from music because there's nothing else I'm doing. But I'm not making like the biggest amount from this project. I support this project from like other things I'm doing creatively or musically.
What kind of things?
I create music like from advertisements to some videos to some fashion shows, fashion videos. Anybody that needs music for something and knows that he can ask, I make it. Or I'm doing for dance performances also music. I compose. I work in a radio, so it's like these little things always like together, and then I can support Never Soul or my solo project from this. But I think if I had only Never Soul, I would have to go to job. I would have to find a job.
Well, I have noticed, of course, that you do a lot of collaborations, including with Spitfire Company on their show Constellations. When you go into a collaboration like that, what are you looking for? What are the elements that attract you to get involved in something like that?
Well, with Spitfire, it was like really nice because I knew them for many years. So I knew when they asked me, I was like jumping from happiness because I really admired them back then, like before and until now, of course. But I was really happy to have the chance to collaborate. So either way, because this is such a small world here, so kind of like when somebody asks you, there's not much a big chance you don't know him. So I choose from that the work I know the person or the company does. And mostly I have to say I like it because I think also the people that ask me to do something for them, they know me, they do know what I do, they know how I can work. And with Spitfire Company, for example, it was like a click. We started this dance performance and just improvising, and I felt like really Markéta and Mirenka, which are the performers dancing in this piece, that we just connected on some level, and it just came out, and it was really beautiful. And I also like in these projects now I'm working on a new performance with Marie Godan. It's called Mutation. And also I just always try to watch and feel the performers. I'm always there like with my synths, and I'm just improvising. I just try to like feel and build like a solid base for them. Like to build a solid base from what I see, like there's this kind of circulating connection that I do something, they do something, I do something, and we like build this from the scratch. But you have to like feel the person or feel the thought or something.
Well, you've listed many activities. Are there other things, other areas you'd like to try in the future?
Well, I would like to have my own recording studio. I think that's like the biggest dream for me that I have, and that I hope one day when I get more experiences and more gear and whatever, that I'll be able to make and then help when I'll be older, like young musicians, and help somebody out or do some recording of some band. Or I would really love that. I really love working in the studio. For me, it's not like that I have this project or whatever. I really love to make music, and I love to be in the studio and just playing and whatever. So it can be in any kind of setting, but it still has to be music. And I'm really grateful now that I can have this radio show, so I can play music that I think like is really nice, and maybe not much people know it. So I'm really grateful that I have the chance to send it out to people, maybe, or I hope like somebody could find nice music that because I spend every day like on YouTube, Spotify, all the labels and the blogs, and finding new music and new sounds. So it's just like my world. So I would like to be able to stay in it, probably, and to just keep on going.
We're kind of distant colleagues in a way, because you work for Czech Radio Vltava, I'm at Radio Prague, although you're doing music and I'm doing talk. My final question, Sára, is when can we look forward to a new album from Neversoul?
I'm hoping next year, but I'm not sure because I haven't started working on it. I'm just making songs now and just recording stuff and ideas, and I didn't really begin the work yet, and it always takes like a year until you really finish the arrangements. Then there's this mixing process, mastering process, all then the production side and everything. So it would be nice to have it next year by this time, but I don't know if it's not gonna be. I always like have to have this feeling that the things make sense and that they're finished. On Leon I was working like a year and a half on one song, so I hope it's not gonna take like 10 years to make an album of 10 songs. I don't think so. But yeah, it's a process, and I can never tell when I'm on the beginning of the process how it will turn out. When it will be finished, it will be, not gonna be lazy, but also I'm not pushing anything too much.
I spoke to Sára Vondrášková, aka Neversoul, remotely in November 2020 for this edition of Czech Next Wave, a joint project of the Czech Centres Network and Radio Prague International. The aim of the podcast is to allow people around the world to get to know some highly talented young Czechs. And also falling into that category is the guy who did our theme music, the top jazz organist and composer Ondřej Pivec. This has been episode 5 of Czech Next Wave, so if you're new to us, do check out the earlier editions, and please sign up now wherever you get your podcasts. From me, Ian Willoughby, thank you so much for listening, and talk to you again in a few weeks' time.